Welcome to the Undrafted Uncensored cast of pod. Hosted by Nick Archuleta. Mosted by Colin Zanker. And last but certainly is least, Joseph Goodwin.
Welcome everyone to the Undrafted Uncensored.
Welcome to the Undrafted Uncensored cast.
Welcome everyone.
We do it twice.
I love Joe's voice so much he plays it twice sometimes. Welcome to the Undrafted Uncensored, a part of the E5280 Sports Network, where it is finally official. It's better to be famous than good. And if you're Alabama, it's better to be famous than good.
No, it's better to have Nick Saban.
Yeah, that too. Well, I mean, he's just a big crybaby as it is. So,
but he's also famous, so it still kind of works.
Yeah.
I mean, we all kind of knew it was just going to be a popularity contest anyway. So it's sad that under the rules, that's kind of how it has to be. The rule is just bullshit and needs to be changed is the problem. And thank God we're moving to more teams next year. 12 is going to be kind of ridiculous, but I'm here for chaos.
Oh, there's going to be plenty of it, too. So we'll get into that here a little bit later.
I just wish Iowa would have won.
But first, before we get started, I'd like to introduce our guest.
Yes.
The one and only Alex Ramirez.
What up, fellas?
The one and only Alex Ramirez from the Final Word on Mile High Sports Radio. Tune into your Mile High Sports Radio on Sundays from 10 to 1. One of the biggest following on social media in the world.
Not like you guys, man. This podcast is sick, dude. I'm so happy to be on this. This elevates my game more than you guys. I get street cred from hanging out with you guys, man. This is awesome.
Hey, we'll take it, man. You know, compared to you guys, we're just kind of like a small hipstery group of, kids talking sports. But
never.
I appreciate that, man.
Never look at that way, guys. Seriously, we've been doing this for 13 years, and we strive on programs that are starting. And I always tell Joey, never be disrespectful to anybody in life, whether it's business or radio or whatever. The guy that could be cleaning the your office space at your radio station could be your next CEO and the program director at the next place. So we always talk about being respectful to everybody, and let's get this thing going, man. I mean, we are so lucky to be in this environment, and I love you guys. You guys have your technology down, and I was telling Joey, I'm like, I'm jumping out with the boys tonight, and he was like, man, I wish I could. Maybe you can get next week, but man, you guys are doing a great job, man.
I was gonna say, are you secretly our undercover boss? Is that what you're trying to say?
Maybe. I mean, we all are.
It's true.
We all are. I mean, we're not like, I'm not better than you. You're not better than me. I could read the same exact sports stat from last night's triple-double, but what makes you different? That's the thing about sports radio and your team, as we always talk about at Mile High Sports in the Final Word, is like we do fundraisings, we do events, we do sports trivia nights. That's where it's at. This is just one branch of what you guys are about to launch into, and I can't wait to see how it goes into. So I'm on early on your pod just so I can maybe I can bite out at the end of the day when you guys are like doing fundraisers for DIA or Special Olympics that we've done. It's a really small world we live in, guys, and you guys are doing a great job, and I congratulate you guys.
Thank you. And when we try and build our bunker out there, we'll include you on the VIP list. Come stay.
Those gift cards.
There we go. Well, it finally happened. Much to my chagrin, the Broncos finally found an L. And I mean, I'm going to start with. I feel like Peyton got a little cocky, got a little arrogant. Everything was working a little too well in his opinion. So let's just change the recipe a little bit. And next thing you know, you go from having Coca-Cola Classic to New Coke. And we didn't learn in the 1980s, New Coke was not a thing. It was very bad. We got to stick with Coca-Cola Classic.
Nobody wants New Coke.
No. So the run game apparently disappeared. And that is the formula for New Coke. Joe, how much did you enjoy that?
I just loved it so much. No, I'm lying. It was painful, and it wasn't like the runs weren't totally working. Like, it was effective enough. They just didn't stick with it. It was kind of infuriating. I went to my buddy's house and I got to watch it with my dad and some of my best friends that we go tailgating with. So it was really nice to kind of have that experience. But we're all sitting there just like, something about this play calling just feels off. Like, I love the aggressiveness of that first deep shot to Cortland Sutton. I don't love doing it again on 2nd and 10. So you're putting your first drive on 2 like low percentage plays. And if they work, hell yeah, you're a genius. That's great. If they don't work, it's 3rd and 10 on your first drive. Like, that's not a good way to play a team that's a potential playoff team like you're hoping to be yourselves. And that, just little things like that, man, like hopefully they can kind of adjust and figure a lot of this stuff out. But also with this Broncos team, like, they seem to play better with more pressure. So losing this game kind of keeps the pressure on and keeps them maybe having to play a little bit more conservatively, which might work out in their favor. So, whatever it takes, man.
Go ahead, Colin. I was just gonna say, I'm not sure why there wasn't just no pressure in this game. I mean, this was a chance for a playoff spot. I felt like there was plenty of pressure in this game that they should have had on them. And you were right, Nick, is that Sean Payton changed it all. But it's exactly what I said last week. Is Sean Payton going to change from what he wanted, what he had been doing, and let Russell Wilson try and win the game for him? And what have I said all along? Russell Wilson will not win you games. He is not a winning quarterback. He is a manager. And that's what's worked for the Broncos, is getting the running game going, running almost double the amount of times as you're passing. And Sean Payton got cocky. He changed what he was doing, and it didn't work. How many times do we need to watch Russell Wilson throw a pick at the end of the game to know that that's not how you win games is in the Denver Broncos system right now? How many more times, Nick? How many more? It's more than 5. It's more than one hand. We figured that out.
I said 2. Alex, what are your takeaways?
Well, I think the NFL is the greatest reality television show in the world. Seriously, guys. I mean, we have our ups and downs. If Russell Wilson would have completed that last drive and won the game for the Broncos, he'd be comeback player of the year. Guess what? Not anymore. It's every week. It's always somebody has just outdone themselves, and they're like, well, this should be the rookie of the year. Or this should be the coach of the year or the comeback player of the year. Guys, this is a marathon. This isn't a race. This is a whole season. I look at it like this. I like what the Broncos are doing. Yeah, they got their 5-game win streak snapped. All right, I get it. All right, so Houston, a guy that the Broncos were coveting, right, Nick? The coach, what's his name?
DeMeco Ryans.
DeMeco Ryans. All right, and right now he looks like he's doing a lot better job. But you have to look at Broncos have such an intriguing 5 games left, and I know you'll dive into this, Nick, as you're the host of the program. But this is not only just for the Broncos season. Like, we don't right now. Fans are like, "Well, who's going to be our quarterback in 2024?" We don't care. We got 5 more games. We can actually get into the playoffs. My prediction was 10-7. All right.
Oh,
and I'll post it on Twitter on your guys' comment line. I honestly thought that's what it was going to be. I had no idea.
That was mine.
Right.
He said that was his also.
Yeah. So you guys look at the game, man. With football right now, you never know who's going to be the next guy coming up or the next hot coach's spot. One thing I will tell you guys is quarterback play in the NFL is horrible. And Nick, I'm sure you've dived into this a lot in your pod, and I've listened to all you guys all the time. So I don't know. I'm just saying, like, hey, pump the brakes a little bit. The Broncos got the Chargers. They have never won at SoFi Stadium, by the way, just so you guys know that. They had never won there. And last week, the Chargers couldn't even score a touchdown against the Patriots. So I think we should be okay. And the Broncos are not even favored to win this game. -2. I don't even plug a sports book because I don't do that. I don't gamble because I'm a holy man. So, anyways, guys, I think this is a great time to be a Broncos fan and a great time to be on your podcast as well.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I mean, quarterback play has definitely been down this year. The Broncos have been relying on the defense to save them especially during this winning streak. They did what they could. They didn't get the takeaways, but the giveaways didn't help either. One was a tip ball. One, I don't know. It looked like a bad route. I don't know. I'm not going to defend the player either way because it was still a turnover. And then the third one, I think Russ was concussed in that last throw. I mean, he got body slammed like Andre the Giant.
But he got concussed when he married Sierra.
What's that?
I'm sorry. He got concussed when he married Sierra. I'm sorry.
He's been concussed for years.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm sorry.
Hey, it works.
That was good.
I don't know. I mean, you can find a reason for everything, but in the end, the defense didn't get their turnovers, but they still stayed strong. They were a very tough defense. They were still hitting Stroud hard.
Game plan was great by Sean Payton.
And again, he got cocky, I think, and he went away from what works. And I mean, Judy, I don't know why he's throwing a hissy fit. He's not getting the football a whole lot anyway. But I mean, you got to get open sooner too, because Russ doesn't have a whole lot of time. We talked about it. The front four of that defense was going to be what was going to terrorize Russ. And I even said he's going to have to check down. So he's going to have to make quick decisions. And he had to. He did that a lot. But that was only because they kept throwing the football.
Well, but Judy was open.
He was.
And so the read progression is wrong in that aspect, because if you have a route that's going to take a while to develop, he shouldn't be the first read, because he's obviously not meant to be open 10 yards down the field. He's meant to be open 20 yards, 15 yards down the field. So then Russ or Sean need to get their concepts right, because you shouldn't have a guy like who's running wide open. We saw it even on Monday Night Football. It's like you have some wide open guys down there too, and it just so happened like that instead of going to T. Higgins, that Mr. Browning went to Jamar Chase, and he ran it 78 yards. But it's the read. Yeah, maybe Russ is in the wrong progression, because Judy is open, and that's where his frustration comes from.
Oh, and there's a why though the Denver Broncos re-signed him for his 5th-year option, which pays him another $13 million next year, because he is open. And maybe he's not a wide receiver that is suited for this team. Maybe he's more like a Buffalo team, or even for Green Bay. But the reason why they didn't trade him at the deadline is because they know he has talent. Maybe Russell Wilson can't deliver the ball to him. That might be an issue.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
Yeah.
And there was definitely a decision-making issue on that last play. You could tell the tight end who he tried to throw it to didn't know what the play was. They couldn't tell exactly what was going on. He had his hands up in the air like, what's going on, right as the ball got hiked. And then Russell rolls out and sees him standing there in the end zone, not moving, with 2 guys around him. Like, it's 3rd down. You have another play. It's the end of the game. Just get rid of it. Throw it over the kid's head and just, live to fight another down. For one more down. That's really all you had. And maybe it was just him wanting to be the hero too much there. But those things, they add up. And then at the end, of course, that was just, that was ball game.
I don't think Russ is ever going to learn that lesson. I mean, how many times how many times do we need to see it until we just know this is going to happen? I was ready to text you guys during that last drive. Like, I had no faith that Russ was going to pull it off. Like, I did not feel at all during that game that Russ was going to make that comeback for this team.
Well, on that text message thread, because the last 7 games he hasn't passed over 200 yards.
Yep.
And we're paying this dude. I'm not saying we. Can I say we?
Yeah.
I mean, Colorado guys, right? So we can
yes. I mean, do you buy tickets to games? So you're kind of paying them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Nick pays him.
I mean, if he's on your fantasy team, bench him now. Well, he's already almost over. But yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Nick. I apologize. I'm fired up.
That's what this is about.
This is awesome. Yeah. You guys are doing great. I love it.
There's no
This is a very free form podcast. You're always welcome to, say something and interject a little bit. We'll get back on track, probably.
Not covering me today?
No, you can.
Nick, you already know how this works. By the way, real quick, small story. I apologize.
Yeah,
Nick.
You're good.
I was in the Green Mountain semifinals game, and I contacted my boy Nick, and he was doing the play-by-play. And I said, "Hey man, I don't want to freeze my nuts off." at the game in Jefferson County Stadium. I'm like, and this is my high school I went to. And I'm like, hey, buddy, can I hang out with you in the press box? He's like, come on down, brother. And this crazy bastard was in shorts. All right. I know you guys know him. This crazy bastard was in shorts. And I had like 3 layers of coats on and gloves and all this stuff. And this dude's just broadcasting away. Second down and third for the Green Mountain Rams. I'm like, this dude's a real McCoy, man. I'm like, this dude's a gangster, bro. I love it.
Ain't no doubt about it.
Shorts you around. It's all I am. You know it's cold if I'm wearing pants.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know who's your sponsor on the shorts, but it was freaking nuts. It was cold.
There you go. We got to get short sponsors.
For Nick? Yeah.
Easy. Feeling insulted while the.
I'm not insulted. I'm trying to help promotion here.
I didn't mean the double entendre meeting there for the height joke. You just took it there.
I'm just making sure.
Naughty, man. You guys are naughty. Nick, what's going
on? I don't know.
No, Nick's tougher than most. You know, when you grow up here, you can, like, if you haven't gone and shoveled snow in basketball shorts and a t-shirt, then, you know, I don't know what to tell you.
I'm going to give you guys a stat. I want all your comments on the stat. There are 16 teams right now in the NFL with 7-5 and 5-7. The Broncos are 6-6 and 5-7 Chargers going into this Sunday's game. Does that mean parity or mediocrity when it comes to the NFL? Are the teams or not? I mean, I look at it like everybody, like, if you don't have a starting quarterback that was your original starting quarterback at the beginning of the season, you suck, man. I mean, that's how it is, and there's not enough reps to replicate the backup quarterback position. But that's an astounding stat that I looked up today. What do you guys' thoughts on that, Nick?
Well, Colin was like breathing in.
He called on you, man. Well, I was just gonna say, I mean, yeah, the parity in the NFL is crazy, but I also think the play of the quarterbacks has gone down with the lack of weapons for players such as Mahomes. Losing an Aaron Rodgers hurts because I think he would have had a hell of a year in Green Bay with those weapons up there. Josh Allen is still the number one quarterback, like overall, like when you look at, I know fantasy isn't reality, but like fantasy quarterback in the NFL, but he's had a down year. So I think it's honestly been a down year overall for quarterbacks, but then you add the injuries on top of it, and you have guys like Brett Rip and Farts starting at quarterback for the Rams. Laying eggs.
And just got signed by the Jets. It takes a while.
It just got signed by the Jets, but Zach Wilson is back there starter. There's parity, but there's also a lack of talent that's being spread around, I think, with what's happened with these injuries this year. It's been a wild injury year. Not just full seasons missed, but missed games.
And you had on top of it, too, just not that they're all bad rules, but some of these quarterbacks know how to exploit a lot of these safety rules, too. So they're going to, they're going to hit the turf a lot sooner. They're going to do what they can to try and draw a penalty and not play to their fullest effort sometimes because they know they can safely get out of bounds. They can, look at the hits Elway and Marino were taking back in the day. Those guys, they didn't care. I mean, Elway helicoptered himself into the end zone for a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and Kareem Jackson, if he would have been playing back with Atwater and Dennis Smith days, he would never have gotten a paycheck. Ever. He'd be suspended, right? I mean, the NFL now, and I'm the last one to say that the referees are part of this or the NFL, but it's pretty bad as far as like watching how these games are now being finished. And I just think that the NFL's gotten soft, especially with the concussion rule, and I get it. And I'm all about protection and safety players, but man, it's got like the Broncos and DMVR are good buddies over Brandon Spano over Colfax. Those guys made shirts that said, "Hey, free K-Jack," and it's just weird that we're in a different world when it comes to like personal fouls and what is a head-to-head helmet contact or a shoulder-to-head contact. I don't know, man. Am I wrong to think this way?
No. Football is changing. It's ever evolving. I mean, it's getting to the point now where a lot of parents aren't even putting their kids in before high school anymore because, we're learning so much more about head injuries and things like that. I mean, I don't know how many concussions I probably had playing football, and I played offensive line most of the time.
Me too.
Flag
football is an Olympic sport.
I was just going to say it's flag football now. It's not contact football, which is.
So what does that tell you?
That Nathaniel Hackett should be a coach again in the NFL. He runs a great training camp. He'd be a great Olympic flag football team head coach.
Field day today, boys. You guys are nuts.
Like, would he though, or would it just kind of be like Paxton Lynch in Canadian football, and he just still can't do it?
That's horrible. This guy, I'm telling you, you guys are right, man. When flag football gets introduced as an Olympic sport, and we're getting these ticky-tack fouls in the NFL, it's just, I don't even know. It's bothersome. Joe and I get a chance to go to all the Broncos games if we want to for the press box. I prefer to watch the game at home. Yeah. So because I'll go crazy in the press box with those guys because I don't want to be dealing with these ticky-tack fouls, and if you get emotional, you get your credentials suspended. So let's just stay at home. That's what we do all the time. Nick, I'm telling you, this is an NFL that's gotten soft, man.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, it definitely has, and it's hard to watch sometimes. And I think too, the other thing is like, piggyback off of your flag football comment. The other thing about that too is we have the technology and the ability to continue to enhance the safety of the equipment, whereas a lot of these countries have probably only seen football played, and much like how basketball and baseball are so famous in other countries because they're cheap. All you need is some kind of round object and a stick to play baseball. All you need is a ball and some kind of hoop to play basketball. Flag football, all you need are a couple flags and a football. So in order to get the rest of the world integrated into football, you start small and start cheap. And then from there, you can start spinning the wheels a little bit more and getting it more ingrained into these other countries. And who knows, maybe one day the NFL will cease to exist and it'll just be an Olympic sport.
That sounds awful.
Yeah.
I'm upset.
Merry freaking Christmas, everybody. Here's the Grinch.
Hey, to tell the little kid that Santa doesn't exist anymore.
I got Santa peeing.
See?
Oh, sick. That's great.
Oh, man.
Hey, and so when you mentioned the LA helicopter, by the way, did you see the Titans Twitter feed with Will Levis?
Yeah.
Will Levistating.
Yeah.
And he did his helicopter so good.
I
mean, that was so good.
Mayonnaise in his coffee, dude.
I mean, I'm not saying that's good, but you know.
Did you know that? That's his creamer.
Yeah, that and he eats bananas with the peels on it.
That's horrible.
Oh,
Oh
man. Well, I don't know. I mean, anything else you guys can think of that we can take away from that loss on Sunday?
The Broncos need to cause 4 turnovers to win a game.
Yeah.
The offense has not looked consistent enough to be able to score enough points. The defense, when not getting turnovers, ends up giving up points just a little bit too often. They're going to have to force turnovers. But like Alex said, hopefully because it's the Chargers, they have a chance to kind of bounce back. But I don't know, man. I feel like every win is going to be a little bit tough for this Broncos team. It feels like the Tim Tebow year where every win is close when it comes.
I wouldn't say it's the Tim Tebow year because actually Russell Wilson can actually throw a ball a little bit, and no disrespect on that, but the Broncos right now they go into Sunday as the 24th ranked overall offense with 299 yards per game, tied for 12th in the NFL. The Chargers are 15th overall on offense, allowing getting 338 yards per game. But I don't think you have to worry about that. What you have to worry about is the guy who's leading the NFL in sacks is Khalil Mack, 15.
Yeah.
And he's got four forced fumbles. So I'm not sure if it's going to be McGlinchey or it's going to be Bowles.
Bolsey?
Yeah, bowls, whatever, man. DB zone, whatever you want to call them.
DB zone.
That dude's going to be a headache for the Broncos on Sunday, and I'm telling you right now, if I'm not chipping on him, or if they don't have an extra tight end set, right, Nick? That dude's going to be a problem, and he's going to be all over Russell. I can see that dude doing. I'm sure I'm dating myself a little bit. Do you guys remember? I was young enough when Derek Thomas sacked Elway like 6 times in KC. You guys remember that? You guys old enough for that?
Yeah, I was thinking you were going with the Sean Merriman. Sean Merriman had some games against the Broncos in the early 2000s too, but not Derek Thomas.
Derek Thomas. Yeah, remember Derek Thomas in the Broncos in KC?
Dude, Derek Thomas was a monster.
He had like 6 or 7 sacks. He broke the sack record against Elway. That could happen on Sunday, guys, if they don't take care of that situation over there. So this is my thoughts on coming up, guys.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I mean, stick to the run game, stick with what works.
Right.
Turn around, get that defense down. I mean, we all know the Chargers can charge her. It's just a matter of how hard and
Keenan Allen
in the game they're going to charge her. So
just don't charge her yourself and let the Chargers charge her.
Yeah.
Well, and you mentioned Keenan Allen. The thing is that Surtain doesn't shadow the top wide receiver. He really doesn't go all over the field with that guy. So if Staley, who is an offense, who is he's a risk taker offensively.
Right.
He will take those risks. If he moves Keenan Allen around and Kellen Moore really gets him in positions to succeed, like in the slot, without Kareem Jackson, I know PJ Locke has played better, but he is not a coverage safety at all. I could see Keenan Allen getting one of those games. I mean, earlier this year, he had a 13 catch, like 150-yard game.
Yeah.
They could nickel and dime the Broncos all day with everybody besides Surtain. So that's what scares me about this game, really, is that they had a bad week. You mentioned it, Alex. I mean, they didn't score a touchdown against New England, but they're coming with a fire in their belly. I mean, they got more fire in their belly than the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, but they won't have enough fans in the stadium either. It'll probably be mostly orange and blue still.
Yeah, you're right. All these
God, I hope so.
Isn't it funny, guys? When you see these Arizona games or the SoFi games or the Las Vegas games, that they're all really home games for the other teams that come and visit and have a good time in their town. Like Las Vegas, for example, when any team that goes to like Vegas is a celebration. Hey, let's go watch the fights on Saturday night. And go watch the game, And it sucks for the Raiders fans because the Raiders fans, the prices have been outpriced completely. I have buddies that live out in Vegas, and they can't afford to just go to a nosebleed section because some kid from the Jets bought the ticket for like $1,000.
Yeah,
so it's weird how the West Coast NFL works, but at the end of the day, Broncos are Broncos country when it comes to Arizona, even Vegas, you could say, and it's just interesting how the team is continuing to like grow. Like all this momentum, and yes, they lost a game last week, and everybody's like, "Oh, Christmas is not going to happen. You can't work at home anymore. Done. Life's over." It can't happen that way anymore, guys. We have to believe, because if you look at what happened with the Nuggets and the Avalanche, it is such a team cohesive unit on both ends of on the ice and the basketball court that. And Sean Payton and all the Broncos go to these games, so they should see firsthand what it takes to be a team to win and be a team together. And I think this year, I'll be honest with you guys, I think the Broncos can go into the playoffs this year. I really believe that, and I hope I'm spot on it, because I'm a Broncos believer, and I know you guys are too. That's why you guys do this show. And tonight's show is dedicated to the Broncos, right, guys?
Oh yeah.
I think I'm doing this dedicated to I'm doing it in memoriam to the Broncos season, because I think that loss buried them.
Yeah, Colin's been on the
you know what? He might be
on the anti-Bronco train a little bit this year.
He's been our Caleb Williams guy on the show.
I have been.
He's not playing in the Holiday Bowl, guys.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not on the Caleb Williams bandwagon anymore, but I am of the thought that you get you get your choice of quarterback. You don't take the leftovers when you draft a quarterback.
Who's first round?
For where the Broncos are, I think it's still
overall.
It's going to be Caleb Williams because of what he showed. I don't think anyone has showed anymore, but I do think he showed chinks in the armor there. But my belief is that I'll get into a lot more of the draft as it goes through and we get closer to it and looking at guys.
Love to be part of that.
Yeah, for sure. But I think that my philosophy is that you don't want to be the guy choosing everyone else's leftovers when you're picking at that important of a position. So the higher the draft pick that you get or can get, the better your odds are. That's why I was never a Justin Fields fan, because you're picking the leftovers from everyone else.
But what do the Bears do now with that situation?
We got 5 weeks to figure out if Justin Fields is the guy.
I feel like if they're picking it right now, he's probably not. And they've got all those first round picks. Like having 2 top 5 first round picks, like that's ridiculous. So the ability to build,
you can build a dynasty with that.
Exactly. And potentially being able to trade Justin Fields for another first round pick, high second round pick, whatever the hell you can get for him. Like, dude, that's a big fucking deal. Like, look at Houston right now. They took the 2nd overall pick and the 3rd overall pick, and they are now a playoff contender with Will Anderson and CJ Stroud. Just balling out. They got another rookie.
They got
that was out now, but Nico Collins coming on strong. Like they kind of proved, and they're obviously an outlier. They're not going to be able to.
I have a lot of friends that are fans. Are you staying with Justin Fields? Because I think here's my thought. I think he's polished. He's seasoned. He's been beaten up, and what are you going to do? Grab another guy you don't know, Drake May or Caleb Williams, that is going to be raw as hell? This dude's been seasoned. Now you have all these draft picks. Now you build like a San Francisco offensive line. Now you build the Dan Campbell situation with Detroit. And you build these guys where they're at now. And Justin Fields will get you through it because of his own talent himself. That's my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Did the Bears get rid of Justin Fields?
And no, Alex, I was going to go to the same place. Unless Justin Fields falls on his face.
Yeah.
We talked about the decrease in quarterback play earlier, but that's also because quarterbacks have become more athletic and they're able to get out of the pocket and scramble a lot more. So their throwing accuracy, the throwing numbers aren't quite there from what we're used to. And Justin Fields has that ability, but you said it, Joe. They drafted Will Anderson, then they got Nico. They got their wide receivers. If the Bears, let's say they end up, most likely, it looks like, with obviously the number 1 overall pick, but then they trade that even back to 3 or 4, and they can get their Marvin Harrison, they can get their Marvin Harrison Jr., they can get their linemen set up, they can add a lot more picks to their draft. And you mentioned the Tigers. I mean, Penny Sewell. I wanted Penny Sewell in a Broncos uniform. I was
so bad.
I was irritated when the Broncos
that dude.
Him. It's the Bears can build it around him. And do I think he's the most talented quarterback? No, but I think he is talented. And same thing as Russ. I don't think you want him out there trying to win you games, but he has the ability to win games on the means of his legs now, not his arm. Russ doesn't have either of those anymore. I don't trust him to win games with his arms or his leg, but Fields still can. And maybe that's only 5 more years, but if you get 5 good years, really good years out of an athletic quarterback like that, you have a chance.
Spot on, brother. Spot on, brother.
That's true. But also, picture being able to get Marvin Harrison and Caleb Williams, or Marvin Harrison and Drake May, one after the other. Get the combo like your Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase.
Right.
Obviously, because they went to college together, but still, like that, I think that has to be enticing too. But I think you're right in the sense that 1st overall pick is worth more. So you could get a bigger haul and, deal with Justin Fields for a little bit more, or maybe still even move on. But yeah, that's a good point. I like trading the 1st overall pick back and letting somebody else take a guy, Yeah. Sorry, Alex, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, I like what you're saying, Colin, and I'm going to echo what you guys said. you got. I think here's what I think. I think Chicago. Now, why are we talking about Chicago so much? But I think
it's a fun question.
Quarterback of the future, and they have an opportunity to build instead of bringing a guy in like Caleb Williams who will sit behind a Justin Fields if he doesn't get traded, or somebody else just to rebuild and try to. No, this you got to strike when the iron is hot, and that's what Coach Shanahan has done over in San Francisco. You know, he lost a ton on that quarterback that he got. Right? What is he at now? Was that quarterback?
Trey Lance.
Where's he at?
Dallas.
Backup for the Cowboys.
Yeah, and San Francisco gave a haul to get him. Yep. But guess what? They replenished that with Christian McCaffrey, the offensive line. I mean, this is a situation where Chicago, if they want to get well and get better, I don't know why we're talking about this. Is not Chicago. This is DNVR sport. Brandon Spano, because I talked to him yesterday. But this is a good conversation to have because they have an opportunity to rebuild and really stockpile players. This isn't a transfer portal where guys may or may not be good. These are proven, guys that you put in, play right away. I think it's a great analogy you guys have been doing about this Chicago thing. The reason why I bring it up is because Russell Wilson, the contract doesn't kick in until next year.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So we have it's a 5-game edition to find out what's going on with this guy. Is he the guy that can bring the Broncos to the next level, or do they have to because capology, one thing I've learned about sports radio, and I've done a lot of stuff, is there's a capologist for every team, and they can make your bonus, like your pay. For example, next year Russ is getting like $45 million, but they can shrink that into a signing bonus, like the Bobby Bonilla deal. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
$1 million every year.
One of my favorite holidays. Bobby Bonilla.
He gets $1 million, for the next 50 years in his life. He can do something like that. There's a lot of different ways to massage the cap, and I think if the Broncos could do something, if they don't feel confident with this guy, they still got to almost stick with him because who are you going to bring in?
Well, and Alex, to let you know why we have talked actually a lot of Bears, but the reason why I bring it up also is because when I talked about the Broncos not being the last of the party in the draft, it's because if the Broncos are drafting at 15, it's a lot harder for you to move up to that number 1 or top 5 pick. If you're drafting at 6, 7, 8, 9, you have a better opportunity. Plus, you have to give away less in future value to move up for that pick. Not everyone has to be Carolina giving away DJ Moore and the whole house and like 10 picks. The Broncos have already given away all their picks for an underachieving quarterback
and a coach.
And a coach. But that's why I think Chicago has been on the mind a lot, because if Fields is the guy there, then the opportunity to get that one of their top picks is available. And the Broncos, as they've been winning, they're less and less likely to make the trades or be able to have the ammunition to make that type of trade.
Well, what's interesting though, you said though, is also some teams are so hard on about getting that one pick because that's the pick that's going to make it. If you watch the Moneyball, you watch all these different movies, you see how it works. And you're right. If Chicago is comfortable with Justin Fields and they want to get rid of that first round pick, they can stockpile that into 2 first or 3 first round picks. If a team is that hung up on getting that specific player that they think that they need, that's going to make the difference. And I don't know, man. This is we can talk about this stuff all night. I love it.
It's really fun.
Where you at, man? What's going on? You falling asleep?
I'm good to wrap up. Well, Alex, thanks for joining us, dude. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
That was a lot of fun. We're gonna go ahead and move on to our newest segment now.
Okay.
Joe Goodwin's Battle.
Am I
Alex?
On?
What?
Am I gone? Am I just leaving the show or what? What's going on?
I think so. You want to hang out?
Yeah, we're gonna hang out. Go for it.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to take too much of your time.
We're gonna move on now because we have to torture Joe, and then got a couple more segments.
I can't wait for you guys coming on my show. All right.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
All you guys, man, and we can do a simulcast on this. How's that?
Would love to.
That'd be fun.
Nick, make it happen.
We'll see what I can do. I'll see you on Sunday.
Great, man. What's going on?
I'll see you,
Nick.
All right, man. Talk to you guys. Be good.
Thank you, Alex.
Happy holidays. Love you guys. Keep continued success. All right. Be good.
Thank you.
You too, man. Thanks a lot, Alex.
Once again, Alex Ramirez of Mile High Sports Radio. The final word Tune in on Sundays, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. just before the Broncos game.
Beautiful.
Happy Honda Days, everyone.
So we'll go ahead and move on to the newest segment of our show.
Ooh.
Hold on.
I wonder what this is going to be about.
I got to turn the volume back up after the other
after the other incident.
Do you like quality sports? Do you want only the best, most interesting, and impactful games? Well, this segment has none of that. Get ready for Joe Goodwin's Lose Bad with Joe Goodwin. Breaking down all of just the worst games every week. Featuring Colin Zanker, I Hardly Know Her. And Nick Archa, Let a Guy Get His Own Segment. I would like to apologize for the following.
Oh, that's an amazing open right there. I appreciate that, Joe, as always.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Keep him around. Very creative.
I figured with the name pun kind of being part of the show title, I should just incorporate you guys and your guys' names would do it as well. The Zanker, I Hardly Know Her came real quick. The bitch was inventing Arch, Let a Guy Give His Own Segment.
That was good. So, as you guys heard a couple weeks ago, Colin tasked Joe with watching some terrible football. And so
he did his homework this week.
We didn't quite get to it the other night. So now it is officially Joe's own segment.
Yeah.
Both good ones lose bad. Joe, who lose bad? Who lose bad?
Well, you know who usually does lose bad? The New York Jets. We're going to go into everyone's favorite matchup of last week, the Falcons versus the Jets. The Falcons, the team that just kind of runs the ball to a fault. They've taken football back to the 1970s, and it's somehow way less fun than it was in the 1970s. And they got to go up against that boil on that kid's cheek from Fairly Odd Parents. Remember Boyle Kid?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was very sad. So I've got I took some notes here. We'll give you guys a really in-depth and well-written breakdown of the game. I also want to pull up real quick that I should have pulled up before. There was a pretty funny happenstance that happened in this game that was posted to our chat by one of you guys about the amount of penalties in a row, and I think I scrolled too far past it. So you know what? We might just skip it and say fuck that.
Might just have to.
You know what? That's how it's gonna go, folks. But there was like 8 penalties in like 10 plays. It was kind of ridiculous. These refs were just angry to be there, yet somehow they wanted to waste everyone's time even more. It was a sight to see. I wouldn't recommend it or say it was a good sight, but it technically was a sight to see. So right away, the Falcons got the ball, started this game off with a real bang. Desmond Ridder fumbled immediately on the first play.
Nice. Way to put it back in, Coach.
It was great. But after that, they found their stride. The drive ended in a punt. Along with the next 3 drives from both teams. It was glorious. It was so boring. The Jets actually used Dalvin Cook.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah. Like he caught a pass. He had a couple yards. It was something.
It was definitely a surprise to find he's still on the roster.
Absolutely. But he even asked to be released, and he's still stuck there. Football purgatory, a.k.a. the New York Jets.
Anywhere in New York. Well, New Jersey.
Yeah, anywhere in New Jersey, exactly. Speaking of football purgatory, the QB ratings in this game.
Yes.
So the leader with a whopping 38.5 is Desmond Ridder, followed not closely by Boyle Kid with a 22.2. And then everyone's favorite Trevor with just a phenomenal 1.8 quarterback rating. Even though this game technically had more points than the Chargers and Patriots game, it was just more painful, but it was actually kind of funny. Just in a comedy of errors kind of sense, like, fuck, what is going to happen now? Like literally the best part of this game, I went back and watched the every play replay from a guy on YouTube. By far the best highlight was when they showed a Tyreek Hill highlight catching a touchdown and running it for like 75 yards.
So early on in the game, the best highlight came from the Dolphins game.
Exactly. No, everything happened early on in the game. I'm not even going to talk about the second half. It didn't matter. It was just a bunch of field goals and sadness. So the Jets downed a punt on the 1 yard line. So this is how the score ended up being so weird. So Desmond Ridder gets the ball and does a nice little QB sneak, buying them a few yards. So it's like, oh, hey, the Falcons might have something here. They just got 2 or 3 yards. And then they immediately ruin this by letting the Jets safety, Ashton Davis, a fucking safety, shove their left tackle back into the fucking bleachers, basically. Literally knocks the left tackle into Bijan Robinson, causing him to fall down and the lineman being able to get him. A safety bull rushed a left tackle on the running foot team. This is the team that runs only, and they couldn't block a safety from their own goal line. Like it was awful. And it was also the Jets' first score of the game.
Oh, is that your recap?
Is that the whole recap?
That's base. I mean, there's a few more things I have written down here. Let's see. There was a couple of punts. Dalvin Cook fumble. Falcons got the first touchdown on a pretty sweet play action seam route to Michael Pruitt, who I forgot was in the league, but I guess he's their third tight end. So they're just making sure to throw it to literally any other person but Kyle Pitts.
Yep. I chose the wrong no touchdown bet on the wrong game.
Yep, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And that was also the Falcons' only touchdown of the game. Yeah. The rest of the game was just, like I said, field goals and sadness. So I could have said more. I think let's just...
Well, there you go. Joe Goodwin's bad loss. He watches bad games, so you don't have to.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Joe, you're a Saints.
I try.
In a good sport.
We'll see what's in store for next week.
We got a couple. We'll definitely give you something good for next week. That's for sure. We'll go move on to the MLB since we're getting pretty close on time here.
Thanks, Clayton. I appreciate that. Smash the like button and share, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Yes.
We're going to jump down to the MLB real quick. Juan Soto is still a Padre.
Not for long.
Still waiting. Apparently, the Padres are really taking a hard look at the medicals, and I'm pretty sure the medicals refer to Michael King, who's had some injury problems. So, there's cautious optimism that the deal will be done, and Juan Soto will be heading to the Bronx. I'm a little sad that Kyle Higashioka is being thrown into that trade now because I love me some Higgy. But if he can go play in San Diego, then I guess I'll let him go.
They're gonna sign Yamamoto, also the Japanese free agent. So yeah, don't
the Japanese free agent is Shohei Ohtani. Colin, come on.
No, we're not on Shohei yet because I got a bit for Shohei when we get there.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, so actually we'll go ahead and I was just updating you guys real quick. I've been hitting Twitter and refreshing Twitter and watching MLB Network. So Shohei Ohtani, still a free agent. Apparently, you're not supposed to discuss anything that's discussed with Shohei. And Dave Roberts decided that he was going to go against that and told the media that they had a really good conversation and may have cost the Dodgers a run at him.
I love it. He broke the first 2 rules of Fight Club.
As Shohei's unofficial agent, I'd just like to say that we're working very hard on getting him a deal that works for him. We don't know what team he's going to yet, but we do really like some of the offers that have been presented to us. Not quite sure which one we're going to take, but we definitely are interested in what some people have to say about my Hall of Fame player that I represent. So once again, no teams have been decided, but we have had some offers that we're mulling over, and the decision should come soon.
I just wanted to wear a hat.
He's going to the Dodgers. Let's not be stupid about this.
He's going to the Dodgers. Dodgers don't need him.
They don't.
The Dodgers they don't care. They're just
pitching.
Like that's the Yankees.
The Dodgers have enough.
They don't care. They don't need him. They're still.
He's not pitching next year.
It doesn't matter.
It does matter.
If there's one thing the Dodgers have, it's pitchers.
He's going to Toronto.
So.
But he loves the West Coast.
He loves the West Coast, but
you know what?
I mean, Toronto could happen, but I think he's ending up in LA. Let's not. They're going to offer him the bag. They have the most publicity, besides a team like the Yankees or the Sox.
He wants the West Coast for sure.
When he first came to play, he wanted to play in the West Coast.
Yeah, and he hasn't gone back on that or said anything else since.
No, he hasn't gone back on it, but yeah.
But you're right. That could have changed. That was a while ago.
But I still think he does love the West Coast and wants to play on the West Coast. So Toronto, I could see that would be really. I mean, it would be great, but I legitimately think it's the Dodgers that are gonna pay the most. They don't care about the tax. They're not the Padres. They're not gonna have to take out a $50 million loan to afford them. They're gonna give them the most exposure. And you mentioned they have all of these other guys. Yeah, they need pitching, but that also means that he'll have the ability to rest and rehab himself.
I don't know. I mean, for a team that's desperate for pitching right now, that they're not in a wait now mode. They're in a go now mode because their window's closing. They're losing Kershaw soon. A lot of these guys are getting older. Yes, they can get some younger guys. However, how long can that Dodger magic last? I mean, they've been eliminated the last 2 years.
Well, yeah, but none of the pitchers have really gotten signed. Like, they're going to go out and get pitching, Nick.
Because they keep going out to get a hitter.
Yeah, so what if you get the hitter?
Ohtani.
I mean, it'll help bring, if you can say, oh yeah, we have this awesome offense. I mean, not that LA needs any more help, but it'll help other pitchers come there because they know they have an offense behind them that will be able to score runs and put crooked numbers up on the board, and they'll be pitching with the lead. So your odds of winning a World Series are also better. I mean, the Rangers, I don't think the Rangers planned on winning World Series that quickly, but the pieces that they added were all pieces to win a championship. When you look at bringing in a guy like Seager, bringing in, a pitcher like Gray, and then at the trade deadline, bringing back insurers. I mean, all of these pieces and deals were all to win a championship. And so, like I said, they did it earlier, but they still brought in quality pitching on top of adding some high-priced free agents to their team. And Shohei's the highest-priced free agent right now. But the Dodgers will be able to recruit more people because they're better at recruiting than the Angels are. Artie Moreno, I don't know what he was doing with his recruiting, but he never added the help besides the draft of 22 pitchers.
I don't know. I'm gonna laugh when the Cubs Seiya Suzuki talks him into coming to the north side and just swoops in there right underneath everybody.
Kaz Matsui, tell him to come to the Broncos, to the Rockies.
Oh God.
Yes. Hey, Kaz went to a World Series with the Rocks, so
he did.
It's possible. It is entirely possible.
Technically, yeah.
you know what else is possible? The fact that I probably finally lost my winning streak. So let's go ahead and kick over to Colin's turn to take over. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the victory formation.
This is the victory formation.
All right, boys, here we go. Best play in football. 6 right tight diamond victory on 1. Break.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, it's jam.
The Pick'em segment, proving that Colin Zanker is the most humble man in the history of time. Least. Featuring Nick Archuleta, wishing he was somewhere else. And Joe Goodwin, just kind of winging it.
Victory time, ladies and gentlemen, and one of us is really in the victory formation, although none of us had a sweep. There was a 3-2 and a 2-3 and a 1-4. Let's go over how we got here and who got here, as we all lost a game. Let's start with what we all lost. Every single one of us chose Jacksonville over Cincinnati. And Brandon Perna and his curse wheel decided to keep that one alive, and also ending my 13-week survivor pool that I was in with like 20,000 people. Yeah, that hurt. So we all lost on that one. Let's move on to the very first game that we picked, where there's some parity here. That would be the Broncos versus the Texans. Joe and I, both smart enough to try and continue to jinx the Broncos, failed miserably, as we all know. The Texans ended up going on and winning. As the favorites, Joe and I both banked 16-17.
I wish I was wrong.
We'll move on to... I was also wrong. You know what else happened? I sent you guys the pick. I needed a Calvin Ridley touchdown. $10 and $2,000. Oh, my God. Calvin Ridley, find the fucking end zone. Not bitter.
He'll probably do it now with Christian Kirk out. But...
Not bitter. He was out the whole game. Christian Kirk was out the first play. Asshole. I get Evan Ingram catching his first touchdown of the season. Jake Browning rushing a touchdown in.
Damn.
And, of course, Joe Mixon. All I needed was a Calvin Ridley touchdown after he scored 3 in the last 2 weeks, and you couldn't do it.
I needed was Joker not to take that one shot.
So if you're keeping track, Joe and I are both 1-1 at this point. Nick is 0-2. Let's see if the tides turn. We went to Sunday Night Football. The Chiefs went to Lambeau and got waxed by the Packers. That was a game where the Packers really felt like they were in control most of the game. You always have a chance with Mahomes, but it didn't quite feel like he had it in him that night. Joe and I both picked the Chiefs. Nick took the Packers. And at those big odds, plus 205, that nets Nick $30.50.
Whoa.
We moved to the NBA, where the Celtics and the Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton, messed around and got a triple-double for the Pacers, and they end up coming out victorious over the Celtics. I was the only one dumb enough to pick the better team in this matchup, so therefore I lost. Nick and Joe won 26-30 apiece. The Pelicans and the Kings wrapped things up as the Pelicans visited Sacramento. The Kings lost in kind of terrible fashion, to be honest with you. And Nick was the only one who liked New Orleans. So therefore, our big winner is Nick Archuleta once again. As he went 3-2. That 3-2, aided by a $30 victory from the Packers-Chiefs game, won him $60.70. Joe came in second, still profiting $12.46.
Money.
And I lost 4 games, which meant that I lost $23.83. Bring my total to $923.87, still in first. Nick is creeping up with these extra games on me at $628.12. Joe, $457.27 in the rear view mirror, carrying third. So Nick's streak does continue, but will his luck run out, much like the Broncos' luck?
Yes.
He's showing some cracks in the armor there. I don't know. We'll see if he keeps going with the Broncos on Saturday's version of the victory formation.
Speaking of Saturday, the Broncos play Saturday?
No, they play not this coming Saturday. The next one they play against the Lions
game.
Yes.
Okay. I had a panicky moment.
It's the Chargers.
Yeah, they got flexed.
Yeah.
Oh, Joe. Showing sun's out, guns out. It was beautiful today.
Yeah.
The only reason I'm wearing this sweater was so I could show Santa Claus pissing. Merry Christmas. That's about it.
Why.
That's beautiful. If I'd thought about on next pod, I'll wear my Darth Vader like Christmas hearth T-shirt. He's sitting in front of a grand piano with a tree behind him and the fireplace and all the stockings and shit. It's I call it classy Vader.
I'm only wearing this shirt because it was the one I found when I went to the dryer and pulled it out, and I needed the hat to match.
You should have pulled up the shirt when Alex was like, "Why are we talking about Chicago so much?"
Because Nick secretly wants to move to Chicago.
Only if I'm calling Cubs games. Only if I'm calling Cubs games.
There we go, fellas.
Yeah, that was fun.
This was a good one. We had a guest. It was cool. I didn't have the heart to tell him that he was actually the second guest we've ever had, and the first guest was Joe Rico.
That's all right. He was our first video guest.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes, that's what it was.
So Alex gets a record.
Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. As always, Saturday you'll be able to catch us again. We will be awesome and entertaining as always, and we'll talk some college football playoffs, Avalanche, maybe a little Nuggies.
Yeah. By the way, I got that bottle of Tin Cup with the Avalanche shot cup on top.
Oh, nice.
It's pretty sweet.
Where'd you get it?
Liquor store by my house. It's like $30.
All right, I'm going by your house.
Awesome. Yeah, come on over. On Saturday, Nick and I will be broadcasting from the same location.
On Saturday, Colin will be hosting the show.
Hashtag not a sponsor, but DMs are open.
Hashtag I have control over mutes.
Yes, you do. Once again, for Colin Zanker and Joe Goodwin, I'm Nick Archuleta. Thank you, Michael Spilling, and all the crew over at e5280sports.com for having our show. Thank you, Alex Ramirez from The Final Word, for being on our show as well. Until next time, everybody, take care. We love you all.
Love you all. Thank you.
May the power protect you.
Hard.